In the past, I've really struggled to find effective productivity advice online, with a lot of it being either too generic or just too specific that it didn't actually move the needle. So I wanted to narrow down the best productivity strategies to 12 rules, kind of the 12 rules for life, but the productivity edition. And these are certainly the most effective strategies that I know, and I try to live by these every day. And I'm really confident that if you apply even some of these strategies to your own life, your productivity will skyrocket and you will enjoy what you're doing a lot more. Hola amigos, I'm Diego, software engineer working in London, and if you're interested in improving your productivity and beating your digital addictions, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join the team. So before we jump in, I just wanted to mention that I chose these rules based on my own limited life experience and after a long period of reflection and consulting with a lot of the people that I trust. But I would love to know if there are any strategies or rules that you follow in your day-to-day to be more productive, and please leave those down below because I'm really interested in knowing, and let's get a conversation going down there in the comments. Wake up early. That's the first one. Very basic, but it gives you a head start on everybody else during the day, and it's that initial victory that really sets the tone for the entire day. And with those extra hours that you gain in the morning before everything begins, you can focus on priorities like exercise, because obviously prioritizing your health is incredible for sustainable productivity, or maybe even getting some deep work sessions done early in the morning before chaos of the day begins. So some quick tips on how to actually wake up early, because it's pretty difficult. The most important thing is to have a good sleep routine. So go to bed and wake up at the same time every day if you can, including weekends. Do not use technology after a certain point during the evening, so preferably a few hours before you actually go to bed. In terms of having dinner as well, a few hours before going to bed, that's so you digest the food before going to bed and you don't feel full and it's very difficult to fall asleep. And finally, make sure your room is dark enough and cool enough to have restful sleep. That way you will be able to much more easily wake up early in the morning. Doing less things. We mistakenly assume that productivity is all about doing more and more things every day. That's wrong. Productivity is actually about getting the important things done consistently. And cutting down on the things you spend your time on is necessary to be truly effective. It's an old cliche, I know, but quality is much more important than quantity when it comes to productivity. So I would recommend that you eliminate responsibilities in your life as ruthlessly as possible and only stick to the really, really important things, but also that you're really ruthless about adopting any new responsibilities. And let me illustrate this point with a very powerful piece of advice that Warren Buffett, the legendary investor, gave one of his employees. So Mike Flint was Warren Buffett's personal airplane pilot for over 10 years. But one day he decided to ask Warren Buffett about career priorities and how to move ahead within his career, and Warren Buffett told him to follow a 3-step exercise. So they ran through these 3 steps. So let me pull it up so I don't make any mistakes about the exercise. Step 1. Buffett started by asking Flint to write down his top 25 career goals. And if you want to do this exercise yourself, it doesn't have to be limited to career goals. It can also be things that you want to accomplish this week, for example. So write the 25 things. Step 2. Buffett asked Flint to review his list and circle his top 5 goals. So Flint took his time, reviewed the entire list, and selected his 5 most important goals within that larger 25 goal list. So for step 3, Flint had 2 lists. One with the 5 most important goals, list A, and another with the 20 remaining goals that were not selected, list B. So when Flint saw those 5 most important goals in list A, he immediately said, well, I'm gonna start working on these right away. And then Buffett asked him the important question. What about the other remaining 20? And Flint, thinking he was being smart, said, well, obviously the remaining 20 are not as urgent and not as important, so I will dedicate a little bit of time in between working for my primary goals. To which Buffett replied, look, mate, you've got it all wrong. Everything you didn't circle just became your avoid at all costs list. No matter what, Buffett said, these 20 get no attention from you until you've achieved your top 5. This story just drives home the point of the importance of eliminating things, having that essentialist mindset in terms of prioritizing and being ruthless about what you spend your time on. Apart from this exercise, another cool resource that you can use is the Eisenhower matrix, where you categorize the things that you spend your time on based on urgency and importance. And if you apply this framework to all of the things you're doing during your week, you will definitely be able to pick those things that are not moving the needle and completely eliminate them. Optimizing for energy is a true game changer. Figure out what schedule works for you, what times of the day you're more energetic, and make sure that during those times you focus on the most difficult and the most important work. And optimizing for energy is very important because energy in the end is a bit of a fickle thing and you have to work really hard to maintain it. Because we all know that you can enter into those energy drain spirals and getting out of those is very difficult. So make sure you work with your ultradian rhythms, which are those 90-minute intervals of energy throughout the day. Make sure you understand those and prioritize the difficult work for those periods of high energy within your ultradian rhythms. And one of the important things that you could do to optimize for energy is to have variety within your workday, change location, do different types of work, learning when to snack and how to snack during those energy dips, and obviously taking breaks effectively. But that's such an important rule that that's the next one. So effective breaks are a necessary component of maintaining sustainable productivity. And you probably need a break every 90 minutes or so. As we mentioned, that ultradian rhythms work in those 90-minute intervals. And here are a few tips that will supercharge your breaks and make them as effective as possible. The first one, no technology. Do not use any technology while you're on break. The second one is to completely leave your working environment. If you want to go on a walk, excellent. Third thing, hydrate yourself. Drink water, because a lot of the time when we're working, we get so deep into it that we forget we even have to drink water. We're 70% water, and I suppose that's important, so drink some water. The fourth thing, stretch, move your muscles. A lot of the time when we're working, we go kind of hunch mode, and that's really bad for your muscles, so make sure you stretch, move a little bit. And the fifth thing is to go for a walk in nature. Surround yourself with greenery. Even a 10-minute walk in nature can help your brain reset its attention and reset its ability to focus. Stick to a simple productivity system. And the only thing I would mention for this rule is that really the only things that you need are a calendar app that you trust where you can do your time blocking, a to-do list app that is simple and where you write a simple to-do list every day, and make sure that you do the most important thing first every day. Do not fall for the shiny new toy syndrome whenever a new productivity software app comes out, you immediately join and create these big, huge templates and waste a lot of time creating a system that in the end is so large and so complex that it takes more time maintaining the system than actually benefiting from the system. And the more simple your system is, the more you're going to trust it and the easier it is again to maintain it. We want to be able to achieve our objectives, not to show off our cool Notion template that doesn't really actually get anything done. The next one is reducing dopamine density in your life. What does this mean? Essentially, reduce your consumption of addictive content, social media, movies, shows, video games. These stimulants are just too good, and our brain finds it very difficult to adjust to the boredom of everyday life and to the monotony of work, especially if you're a dopamine junkie. And it's really clear that a lot of us are dopamine junkies, because why do you think every time we sit down on the tube or have a little bit of downtime at work, we immediately reach for our phones? Our brains simply are not used to being bored, and work can be very boring sometimes and very difficult. So help your brain's ability to focus by avoiding dopamine content as much as possible. Your brain will thank you for this the next time you're doing something really difficult at work that requires all your cognitive effort. Prioritizing health. This is a pretty obvious one, but without health, you don't have the energy or the ability to sustainably be productive. So let's go through the main topics of health. Diet. Key. Make sure you focus on whole foods, one ingredient food items, not those items of food that have a ton of E346 and yellow 5 and all those added preservatives and conservants or whatever they're called. Staying away from processed foods is crucial, and trying to eliminate sugar from your life, also game changer. Next thing, sleep. Make sure you get between 7 and 8 hours of sleep every night, non-negotiable. Exercise. This can be whatever you want, just get your heart rate going, maybe do a little bit of weights as well. Try and do as much exercise as you can. Find something fun, because if it's fun, you're going to be able to maintain it for a long time. And now let's talk about supplementation. So for this video, I did a little bit of research into nootropics. These are kind of smart drugs and cognitive enhancers, which have been shown to be quite effective. I was already taking a few of them just by chance, but there are a lot of them that I didn't actually know. And the names are so complex that I had to write them down. Obviously, things like caffeine, that's a smart drug. Don't depend entirely on it, but it can be helpful in certain situations when you need that extra boost. Other things like L-Theanine, Theacrine, Bacopa Monnieri, Creatine, which a lot of people take for the gym and bodybuilding, Rhodiola, rosea, and Panax, ginseng. I'm gonna leave them all listed down below because I probably butchered a lot of these names, but these supplements have been shown to be very effective as cognitive enhancers and will boost your productivity. Meaning and passion are absolutely key to maintaining sustainable productivity, because productivity needs to have an aim. Being productive without a vision and meaning is really unlikely to yield any sort of results in the long run. So if you're not passionate about what you're doing right now, make sure to spice it up or even go do something else. Life is just too short to not be doing things that we're at least somewhat passionate about. Obviously, it's easier said than done. You know, if you're not happy in your job right now, you need to prepare an exit strategy and build your resume and talk to people on LinkedIn and do all of these things, but it's worth it. Definitely worth it. That initial investment is going to be worth it. Maybe 6 months down the line when you're actually in a job or in a business that you care about, you're interested in, and surrounded by people who are kind of in the same boat as you. And to wrap up this rule, I wanted to quote Nietzsche, GOAT, "He who has a why for which to live can bear with almost anyhow." Powerful words. Stop depending on free will. What does this mean? Well, all of us face digital distractions and even addictions in today's techno world. And always having the iron will to resist these temptations is absolutely impossible, I know. So stop relying on your free will all the time and make it effortless to do the right thing. So this means adding friction to unproductive behaviors and making productive habits as easy as possible. I have a video on how to build a distraction-free iPhone that I'm gonna link down below, which is very helpful and talks through a process of adding friction to your phone and making it as unaddicting as possible. And adding friction and difficulty to these unproductive behaviors is a really powerful way to slowly build up your free will in the short run, which will help you build discipline, and this discipline will carry your productivity through time. Mastering deep work. We talk about this all the time. Deep work is a concept I came across in the book by the same name, Deep Work, by Cal Newport, a computer science professor at the University of Georgetown. And applying the concept of deep work completely changed the way I work and even my personal life. Learning how to master deep work will teach you to enjoy doing hard things and move as effectively as possible towards your objectives. And it is also crucial that you understand the limitations of deep work, because Cal Newport states in the book that people who are not accustomed to doing deep work can usually only deeply focus for 1 hour a day. But with time and practice, you can increase the amount of deep work to around 4 hours every day. After this 4-hour mark, for most people, the quality of work decreases significantly. So make sure you work deeply, train this muscle, and understand the natural limitations that after 4 hours of deeply working, there's probably not a lot more that you can do during that day. And I'm gonna leave his book linked down below. Deep Work completely changed my life. I really recommend you read it and apply all of the tips in the book. And for me, deep work is the easiest early in the morning without any distractions. So if you're looking to implement it into your schedule, make sure you implement it early in the morning if you can. Not working late. Working late completely messes up your schedule and prevents you from taking a restorative break during the evening to be able to come back firing on all cylinders during the next day. And for a lot of us, this has happened to me. Working late doesn't really mean that you're getting more done or that your company will notice you. A lot of the time, working late just means that you have bad time management and bad prioritization. This has happened to me a lot. So if you're constantly working late, doing extra hours, make sure you change the way in which you work. Make sure to prioritize a lot more. Make sure to eliminate the things that are not high impact within your schedule, and do everything you can to clock out at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. whenever you finish work, so that you have that evening to be able to restore your focus, your attention, and your energy. And if you feel that your company is just pushing you too hard and there's no way that you can get out of this, talk with them, emphasize the importance of having a break after work. And if they don't listen or that's not something your company values, then just leave the company, prepare an exit. It's just as simple as that, because continuously working late will not only have an impact on your productivity and your performance within the job, but also within your own health. And we can't be sacrificing our health for our jobs or our careers. That's just a trade-off that doesn't make sense and completely destroys your future. And the last one, focus on being productive and not busy. I think the difference between being busy and being productive is sometimes difficult to ascertain. It can certainly be a very thin line between both of those things. And being able to differentiate what is busyness and what is productivity is crucial to being able to achieve that sustainable productivity. And this can also be viewed as a difference between shallow work and deep work, a concept that Cal Newport also talks about in his book. So I would suggest completing a time audit. Analyze exactly what you're spending time on every week, and for those low impact tasks, those tasks that are probably busyness and not productivity, make sure you go through this process in this order. Can the task be eliminated? Do that. If it can't, then automate it. And if it can't be automated, delegate it to someone else. That 3-step framework will ensure that you're only focusing on the most important things and not being distracted by busy work. So now that we've done the macro, the 12 rules for life productivity edition to achieve that sustainable productivity, I wanted to recommend this video that focuses a little bit more on the micro, on the top 20 productivity tips for work. If you apply these are gonna give you, again, a leg up at work. I'm sure you're going to enjoy this video. Thanks for watching and see you there, amigos.